10 biggest Tesla crashes on autopilot. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel with a very interesting video. Today's video is going to be an amazing one where we will tell you about the top 10 biggest Tesla crashes of all time and what were the consequences of those crashes. So you might not want to miss out such a video packed with thrill and suspense. Make sure to watch the video till the end, but before that, give this video a big thumbs up. So before hopping on to the list of crashes, let us review some stats. According to TheGuardian.com, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, released a list offering details about crashes in a review by its Special Crash Investigation Programs. The US safety regulators have opened 30 investigations of Tesla crashes involving a total of 10 deaths since 2016, and in most of the cases, the autopilot feature was found to be involved in the crashes. Although Elon Musk has suggested not to blame autopilot for fatal deaths and crashes, it does not change the reality, right? So let us get straight into the video. Number 10. Andy. Andy was driving his model and his autopilot was engaged while driving on a highway in North Carolina, and in that due time, he was passed by a Volkswagen Golf. There was a Skian TC behind it. The Skian kind of lost control, and what happened next was shocking. The car went flying, striking the sides of the road. This was an accident due to autopilot, but Andy still thanked autopilot for saving his life as well as the life of the Skian driver. Here is the reason. When the Skian came in front of Tesla, autopilot was the reason for engaging emergency braking to an extent that the Tesla would not T-bone the Skian at a highway speed. Instead, the Skian flew past Tesla and bounced back into the back of Andy's car, which resulted in a pit maneuver. After the crash, nothing much was left of either of the cars. Number 9. Ian Huddleston. Ian was driving his Model 3 in Beluve, Washington, where he decided to take an exit, and that is when the traffic came to a stop. Well, we cannot say suddenly though, because the traffic was seen piling up half a minute earlier. Autopilot was not engaged, but the Tesla's collision avoidance system engaged the system in such a way to avoid a collision. Ian said that he could feel the steering wheel moving against his hands. Ian and his wife felt like they were going to hit the stopped car, but they were grateful they didn't because their 2 young daughters were in the backseat as well. Number 8. Eric Arneson. Eric was driving his Model Y northbound on US Route 101 outside of Santa Barbara, California. Autopilot engaged throughput when he unexpectedly felt the Tesla slowing down. At first he did not get it. Autopilot predicted a car speeding behind them and slowed down the Tesla as the car cut them off recklessly. Thankfully, it was not a crash and autopilot saved the day. Number 7. Claudia. Claudia was driving his Model 3 on autopilot in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Traffic started piling up in front of him, and that is when a Dodge Ram rammed a Volkswagen Golf when they both tried to move over to the shoulder. The autopilot can be seen preparing for the same exact maneuver, applying the brakes and moving slightly onto the shoulder. Claudia stopped to make sure everyone involved in the accident was okay, and he was grateful that everyone was fine, and he even offered each of them a copy of the Tesla cam footage, and then he left. Number 6. Jerry. Jerry was driving westbound on California State Route 237 in the left lane using autopilot. When driving past the US Route 101 ramp, he knew that many cars would be merging, so he stayed in his own lane to give them room. The driver of the Honda, who clearly did not check their blind spot, came almost flying across the highway, and this is when autopilot failed because it did not react, so Jerry took over, honking and swerving to the left shoulder. Number 5. Babar Khan. Babar was driving his Model 3 on Toronto, Ontario, Canada on Highway 404 as he was merging. A Volkswagen was in his blind spot, even though he looked over his shoulder. Babar somehow did not see it and proceeded to merge. Autopilot suddenly gave him a warning and veered him back into his lane. That is also when he heard the VW's honk, and that is when he realized what had happened. Babar was surprised that a collision was still avoided. He apologized to the other driver and merged safely this time. Number 4. Enzi. Enzi was driving his 2-day-old Model 3 in Fugoy, Verena, North Carolina. He was heading home from the store while his autopilot was engaged. That is when a squirrel decided to play with him and got in front. Autopilot did not give any warnings or indications that it was going to stop, so Ian hit the brakes just to be safe. Thank God he did it. Number 3. Mack. Dave was returning from a meetup with fellow FSD beta tester Chuck Cook. All of a sudden, a wheel fell off the car in front of him. Dave took over from autopilot, slowing down and waiting to ensure that he could pull off, as it was very difficult to maintain control without a front left wheel at 75 mph. Number 2. Joe. Joe was driving his Model 3 on autopilot in Austin, Texas when he stopped behind another Model 3 at a red light. When the light turned green, Joe was expecting the signature Tesla acceleration, but nothing happened even as cars started honking behind him. Finally, the Model 3 slowly pulled away and took a wide turn. That is when Joe realized that this was either a laggy version of autopilot or the Tesla might have had a drunk driver behind the wheel. The Tesla swerved all over the road and hit the curb multiple times. As they approached the freeway, Joe was worried that the Tesla might try to get on to it. The driver signaled to get on the freeway, but then he just continued on. Joe contacted law enforcement and informed them of what was happening. Maybe this driver would have been better if he was using autopilot, or maybe this is an autopilot fault. What do you think? Number 1. Joseph. So the story starts with Joseph, who after 5 days of taking delivery of his model, was dropping off his friends at his parents' house. When he was on the way just near to his destination, a car stopped in front of him and he was about to go around that car, but suddenly that car started turning, so Joseph stopped. That is when a Honda bumped him from the rear side. After this, Joseph pulled over and called the police while waiting in his car. Joseph asked the officer if the other driver was okay, and the officer replied by saying that the other driver was upset. Joseph was not sure who the other driver was upset at. The other driver was heard by Joseph's friend telling the officer that Joseph had stopped the car in the middle of the road. After viewing the footage from the Tesla cam, everything became crystal clear to the officer. Joseph's Tesla took 2 months to get fixed. Maybe if autopilot was being used, this would have been avoided, or it was due to laggy autopilot. These were the biggest crashes and failures of autopilot. While in some cases autopilot saved the day, in other cases it was a complete disaster. What do you think about autopilot and the bad drivers? Have you ever experienced such crashes in real life? Let us know in the comments below and share your opinion. Also, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to the channel for more interesting videos like these. See you in the next video.